everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, we're going to be reviewing a box set that I was really eagerly awaiting, and I had to pick this up the day it came out. And this is one that, we got basically 5 films. I mean, there's 4 films in name, but there's technically 5. And these are movies that I really love. I like them all for different reasons, but this is a series that is still basically going to this day, with Creed 3 just being released recently. And these are, in my opinion, some of the best films about the human condition, and really the fight in all of us that we want to succeed in life. We want to make something of our lives, and they're all very inspiring. And that is, of course, Rocky. This is the Knockout Collection in 4K here. This contains Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it also includes Rocky versus Drago, which is the director's cut of Rocky 4. And it's a 5-disc set. It also has an extra Blu-ray that has a bunch of special features. And today I'm going to be talking about the picture quality, the audio quality, and briefly going over the special features as well. Now, this is a set that was met with a lot of criticism and has been the source of controversy for some reasons I'm going to get into later. This video may be a little bit longer than my average videos because, again, we're going over 4, technically 5 films. But I am going to talk about what I liked and didn't like about the picture and the audio. And I'm also going to talk about something that I haven't seen addressed very often that actually caused me an issue with this box set. And I'm going to get into that in a little while here. First and foremost, let's talk about the picture quality on the first film, Rocky, the original classic here. And Rocky is one of these movies that is kind of a historic piece of Americana now. It's really worked its way into our history. And I love the film. I've seen this movie, I don't know how many times. It's a masterwork. And it's a very gritty, kind of rough-looking film. It always has been. And this well, should I say the remasters of 1, 2, 3, and the original cut of 4 are all from like 2015, 2014. So they are, they've been around for a while. And if you have the newer releases of those Blu-rays, the versions that you see here, the new transfers that you see here, are basically taken from that 4K remaster that was done back in 2014, 2015. And the one thing I have to say is that the 4K resolution, now that we get to see it in true 4K, along with the Dolby Vision HDR that comes on all of these, it also has HDR10 as well, is a big help, especially for the first Rocky. This movie, again, it's never going to look pristine, clean. It was shot on film, and it does have a very gritty source. It's a lot of there's a lot of grain in the picture, and that's true for pretty much all 4 of them. Again, the grain and the picture differentiate depending on the film, and I'll go more into that as we go through these movies. But the first film especially, it's a very gritty-looking film. And again, that's the way it was made. That's the way it was shot back in 1976. It's supposed to look that way. I actually think this new 4K transfer is the best this movie has ever looked in terms of color, in terms of black levels especially, because this movie does have a lot of dark scenes. It looked fantastic. I think it looked really, really good. It is not a night and day difference between the older Blu-ray. The first Blu-ray that came out was an absolute horror show. That was awful. Comparing this 4K to the last released Blu-ray, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good step up. It just looks clearer. It looks sharper. And, the grain level now is kind of tolerable because we're looking at it in 4K now. It's that higher resolution. The detail level is really good on this disc. And the colors on it, now that we have that Dolby Vision and the HDR10, it really is, it's a big difference with the colors, I would say. Reds are much more vibrant, and the movie is not a vibrant picture overall, but again, it does have a very natural look to it, and it does go a long way for this disc. So in terms of picture quality, the first Rocky is really fantastic. It's really good. And now the audio quality for the first Rocky, I would say, is slightly problematic for me. Now, again, I'm not measuring anything with tools or anything like that. But the first Rocky, the 5.1, the DTS HD master audio track that I listened to, it seemed to me like it was a tad too low, just like a hair too low, and I did have to turn it up a little bit. Was it an egregious, awful, horrific mess? No, it was not at all. I just had to turn it up just a few ticks. But again, the music, the legendary music that's in the first Rocky film, sounded very good. I didn't, have any issues with that. I thought the dialogue was pretty good, but again, I did have to turn it up just a little bit. Now, the big error that Warner Brothers made with this disc is, again, I can't tell you if this is true or not. Again, there have been reviews out there that have said this, so I'm just kind of going on what they've said. But what they advertise as the original mono track remastered is not actually the original mono track. Supposedly, it's a folded down stereo track or something along those lines. I really couldn't tell you whether or not that is true. I am not a historian when it comes to the audio tracks of the Rocky films. I didn't watch the film all the way through on that supposedly folded down audio track. I did play through a few scenes with it. Again, I had to watch basically 5 films here, so pardon me if I didn't get a chance to watch every film multiple times with multiple audio tracks. There's just no way I can do that. There aren't enough hours in the day. I work a full-time job besides doing this. So this is kind of like my side thing, but I love doing it. I listened to it, and honestly, I couldn't tell you whether or not that's true. I really couldn't tell you. Did it sound okay? It sounded fine to me, but again, I prefer the 5.1. I know a lot of purists out there go for that original audio track, so I understand why people are very upset over that, and I'm with you. It sucks. If it is true and they didn't include that, that does suck. I agree with you. It's a terrible thing, but it kind of is what it is at this point. And hopefully, if that is true about that track, they will do a replacement. Again, I have no way of knowing. This was not provided to me. I bought this with my own money. I hope it gets resolved if it is an issue. To me, I thought the first Rocky film looked good and sounded pretty good too. Again, I just had to uptick the volume just a little bit. Now, going into Rocky 2, I thought the picture quality on this was really good. I really liked the picture on Rocky 2. Again, same kind of thing as Rocky 1. It does have that rough, kind of gritty look to it, but the picture quality on this one is definitely a big step up from the older Blu-ray. It looked a lot, I would say it looked a lot sharper to me. It just seemed like, they cleaned it up a very good amount, even though it is the same transfer from like 2014. That resolution jump really helped it out a lot. It just seemed in every aspect. The color was better. The lighting looked way better. The daylight scenes are way more vibrant than they were before. But again, it still has that natural kind of gritty look like the first one. But the detail level is definitely a big step up. and the color is definitely a huge step up. It's a much better looking film than it was previously. I really enjoyed the look of Rocky 2, and Rocky 2 is actually not really my favorite of the Rocky films. It's probably one of the lesser ones, but I do still enjoy watching it. It's still a really good movie. Now, the audio quality on Rocky 2, this is where a lot of the issues lie in the set, is that supposedly, again, the audio pitch, in other words, the volume of Rocky 2 in the 5.1 is a certain minimal percentage low. I think they said it was like 3-4% lower than it was on the Blu-ray. Again, much like my experience with the first Rocky film, I did have to turn it up a little bit. And I'm not talking about a massive amount. I'm talking about maybe 5 notches up. So where I would usually listen to a movie on 50 in my home theater, I had to turn it up to like 55, 54, something like that. Still sounded pretty good to me. It still sounded all right once I turned it up a little bit. The dialogue I could still hear. It wasn't like I was struggling to hear anything, but it did seem a little low. Again, Disney has had issues like this with basically almost all of their 4Ks for quite a while, where the volume was just way too low from the get-go. Again, I've run into this before. Does it stink that this disc is like this? Yes, it does. It's not a great thing, but I just turned it up and it sounded fine. Again, didn't have really a huge issue with it. If now the voices were mismatched and things didn't make sense, then I would say, okay, we got a major problem on our hands. But I had to turn it up a little bit and it was fine. I didn't have a huge problem with it. Another big issue that people are having is that I guess the foreign language tracks are all over the place in terms of volume. I did not really listen to them. I'm sorry, I don't really listen to the foreign language tracks. I can understand how it would be frustrating if you did use those tracks, but supposedly they're a mess, and that stinks. Again, it's a terrible thing that this happened, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you because I didn't really listen to them. Again, I only have so much time to do these reviews, but the main thing was that surround track. To me, it was a little quiet, maybe a tad more quiet than the original Rocky, but turned it up a little and all my problems were solved. So that's my thoughts on Rocky 2 and that controversy. Again, kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Hopefully, again, if Warner Brothers finds that this is a major problem, they'll do a disc replacement. I don't know. Then we get to Rocky 3. Now, Rocky 3 is one of my favorites of the series. I really enjoy that movie. Very emotional. And I love that film. I love Rocky 3. And Rocky 3, I thought, for the most part, looked really good as well. Now, the only issue with Rocky 3 that I had was that Rocky 3 at certain points looked way too grainy. It looked like, there was like a swarm of flies on screen. Now, again, it was shot on film. It could be an issue with the master itself. Could have been, just the way that master was done. Again, these remasters were done back in like 2014, 2015. So again, that grain could be apparent from the get-go, but it did seem inherently noisy to me at times. Not the whole time, but at times it did seem like there was some kind of problem happening, kind of grain or digital noise on screen. The older Blu-rays had that. Is it extremely distracting? It's a minor thing. I don't think it's extreme. I think it's a minor thing here and there. Overall, the rest of the film, the problems didn't really, I don't think it extended throughout the entirety of the film. But I thought, yet again, the movie looked fantastic. It looked really, really good for the most part. Again, I'd say about 85% of the time, it looked stunning. And of course, as we go up the movies, the technology for these cameras improved and the film improved. So you're going to get better looking picture. And the picture on Rocky 3 was very, very good. It's a much more glossier shot type film. It's not as gritty as the first two. Again, that picture, the detail level, the sweat coming off of Rocky and Mr. T, and the slow motion, the reds, the yellows, the whites, everything, thanks to that HDR, looks a lot more vibrant, and yet it does not look overly saturated, which is one thing I'm glad that none of these films have, is that none of them look like they're overdone. They are done just right. Of course, that noise grain issue, again, it does pop up from time to time, but I didn't think it was extremely bad to the point where I was like, oh my God, I can't watch this. Not really awful, but I could see how some people could find it distracting. As for the audio for Rocky 3, I thought the audio was pretty solid for that one. I didn't have any issues with it like I did with Rocky 1 and 2. I thought the volume was just right at the setting I normally keep it at. No problems whatsoever there. I thought it was fine. Again, I listened to the 5.1 track. I know the issues with the foreign dubs of the film continue on with Rocky 3, but yet again, I did not really listen to them. I just listened to the 5.1, and again, it does stink that we have those issues, but hopefully they'll be addressed soon. Now, for Rocky 4, we get into a funny situation here because we get two different versions of the same film, the original theatrical version and the director's cut. Now, the original theatrical version, I really enjoy. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a great movie. And that one there, again, I thought the picture quality on that one was amazing. I thought it was really, really good. The HDR on that is a mind-blowing thing. The colors just are so fantastic in that one. It looks so much more vibrant than it did on Blu-ray. Skin tones are dead on, almost, I would say, perfect. The detail level is sky high on Rocky 4, and the brights, the lights, and everything are just so stunning now. It really is a beautiful, beautiful picture. Now, for Rocky 4, the director's cut came out, I think it was last year, and it was a digital-only release. And I did watch that digital version. I actually bought the digital version on iTunes because I wanted to see it so bad. And that was amazing then, but the disc here is really something. That disc, again, Rocky 4 and Rocky 4 Director's Cut are on the same disc. I'll show it to you in a few minutes here. But that version is even better. It is a very different film in terms of look, however. The whole picture itself, Stallone himself did oversee the editing and everything, and he also recolor corrected the film. And the film definitely has a bluer hue to it. It's I would say, a cooler, not as warm as the original version is. So you do get kind of a teal bluish look to some of the film, but you can definitely tell he dialed in the blues a little bit more on the director's cut. It's not like it has a totally gray filter over the whole thing like Heat did on 4K. It's not like he drained the whole film of color. The colors still really jump out at you, and it's still a very vibrant picture. I still think it's very nice to look at. I still think the film looked incredible in that director's cut. Stallone even changed the aspect ratio. So instead of it being 1:85 to 1, it's 2:35 to 1, or 2:40 to 1. I can't recall exactly what it is, but it's definitely a wider screen throughout. And that, I think it actually makes it a lot more cinematic to me. And I prefer that wider screen. And I don't know, I just thought it looked absolutely stunning. I thought that director's cut is hands down the best looking one in the entire set. I really liked it. And the sound mix for both of those I thought were really good as well. Again, the 5.1 on those tracks are fantastic. I loved both of them. But again, that director's cut is really something to look at, and I'm glad it was part of this set. It's really one of the big reasons to buy this set, is that director's cut. I really enjoyed it. There is an extra disc as well that comes with a bunch of special features. A lot of them are all holdovers from other discs, but the making of documentary that comes with this, it's the making of the director's cut of Rocky IV, is pretty cool to see. However, it is kind of a weird thing that they put in a shorter version of it. The original version of it, I remember watching it online. It might actually still be on YouTube. Is like a 90-something minute feature, and the one on here is like less than an hour. And I don't know why they did that. Maybe they just didn't have the space for it on the one disc. But it is a standard Blu-ray disc. You do get a ton of special features on it. And it's a nice little addition. I just wish they could have, put the full version of that in there. But hey, you can always watch it on YouTube if you want to watch it. So I'm going to talk about something now that kind of bugged the crap out of me. And it's something that I have run into a few times that I can't stand it. And I don't know what the cause of it is, but it's a pain in the neck, okay? And I didn't notice this right away until I put the first disc of Rocky in, and my Blu-ray player started to freak out about 20 minutes into the movie. I thought my Blu-ray player was crapping out again. I have a Sony X800 M2, first one that I had of this model. I had to send to Sony so they could fix it because it stopped playing Blu-rays correctly. It stopped playing everything, 4Ks, Blu-rays, you name it. And so I thought I was having the same problem again. Lo and behold, that was not the issue. So here is the set here. It's a black plastic case. There's Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, and the director's cut, and there's the extra disc with the bonus features. Anyway, took the disc out of the Blu-ray player, and I looked at it, and I realized that the disc had a disgusting residue on it. I took a cloth, kind of like a microfiber cloth, very soft, and cleaned it off, put it back in the player, and it was fine. The rest of the movie played through fine, no issue. And I looked at the other discs, and all of the other discs definitely had a residue on it. It almost looks like steam. Why? Why is this happening? It drove me nuts. We shouldn't have to clean the discs if we're buying them brand new. I feel like I'm back in the old days of buying old DVDs at Blockbuster that were previously viewed. This shouldn't happen. That actually upset me more than the audio crap on this box set. I shouldn't have to make sure the discs are free of residue if I'm buying this thing brand new from Best Buy or Amazon or whoever. And it's not the first time I've run into this. A lot of movie studios are guilty of this, but Warner Brothers, please get your act together. If there are audio issues, get them fixed, get a disc replacement program going, and please, somebody at the factory, clean the discs before you send them out. For the love of God, get a machine that does them if you don't want to pay somebody to do them. Just clean the discs. I mean, come on, guys. Clean them. Just 2 seconds it took me. But, again, I thought I was freaking out for a minute. I was about to get on the phone with Sony and chew them out. But that wasn't the case, thankfully. I didn't have to do that. But, here we are. Again, it's 2023. Clean the discs, for the love of God. Anyway, one last thing to mention is that it does come with a digital code, so you do get all 4 films and, the director's cut of Rocky IV. You get them all in 4K, so that does redeem in 4K. My thoughts on this are it's a home run for the most part in terms of video. I wish that we could have gotten a newer transfer like we did with the director's cut of Rocky IV on all of them. And yes, I'm going to address the big elephant in the room here. Yes, the missing Rocky V and Rocky Balboa, yeah, that sucks. I wish Rocky V and Rocky Balboa were on here. I'm not a huge fan of Rocky V. I think it has its merits, even though they may be extremely minor. But Rocky Balboa not being in this set, where it's the newest of the 6 films, is a huge missed opportunity. But again, for the time being, for what we got, the set is okay. It's not great. The picture is really good. I thought the picture was good on pretty much all of them. I thought the audio, again, even though there are issues, I don't think it's something where it's worthy of like a massive, huge spewing of hatred. I can understand if you need those foreign dubs, though. I can understand how that would be very frustrating. But for me, who doesn't use those dubs or wouldn't listen to those dubs, it's not really a huge deal. But the original Rocky disc having a folded down track, that's a problem. And if it is actually that, then I hope that that gets addressed. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. This has been a pretty long video. If you do want to pick up the 4K Knockout collection here, I'll put a link in the description below. If you use that link to Amazon, it does help us out here at the channel. I do get a little kickback from that. It's very helpful to us here, and if you want to help us out even more, hit that super thanks button. I would greatly appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for coming back to Cavanaugh's Corner. If you want to see more videos like this, definitely check out my channel and hit that thumbs up and subscribe button so you can be alerted when I make new videos like this. I try to make at least one video a week. And until next time, please stay safe and keep punching. I got you there, didn't I? Take it easy.